Good afternoon. You're listening to the new WCEG Network on WCEG Watch us live on Smart TV, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and WCEG Network. We're the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. Subscribe free to our YouTube channel, WCEG Network. Like, follow, and connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Our new platforms, download our free mobile apps on Apple, iPhones, and Pads. Go to Apple Store, search WCEG Talk Radio. On Apple TV, search WCEG Network TV. Apple Watch, search WCEG Network. Android mobile phones and tablets, go to Google Play Store and search for WCEG Talk Radio. The topics and opinions of those of the show hosts and guests, and not of WCEG Network. We thank you for your continued support. I am Dr. Ronald Tolbert with Red Oak Animal Hospital, a talk show host today, and we have with us Dr. Aboko-Cole. She is a mobile vet, and we'd like to welcome her to the show and have her introduce herself. Good afternoon, Doctor.
Good afternoon.
I understand they call you Dr. ABC.
Made it easier.
Okay. Hey, tell us about yourself and the history on how you got to what you were doing, what inspired you to do what you were doing, what kind of training you've had, that kind of thing, so the audience will know exactly what you do.
Okay, well, I always knew since the very beginning that I was going to work with animals. My mom is a human doctor, so
Okay.
already had that influence there. I already loved the sciences, and full disclosure, I really thought that I was going to be in like khaki suits, chasing monkeys in trees, and like holding snakes and stuff, and I was going to be like treating everything.
Mhm.
But of course, reality sits in. I was doing some research in undergrad and doing some other stuff while I was at Auburn. And I was like, let me just tone that down a little bit, maybe narrow that spectrum. Graduated 2007 from Auburn, got my bachelor's, 2011 from Tuskegee Veterinary School. And, oh, it's veterinary to Tuskegee College of Veterinary Medicine now. It used to be
Thank
School
you.
of
Yeah.
Veterinary.
It was school when I was there.
So I have been everywhere small animal. I did research while I was an undergrad. I did private practice, did a corporate practice, and a little bit of shelter medicine. And then about I guess around 2013, I started doing independent contracting, working for other people, doing high volume spay neuter, and also doing VIP pet care with shot clinics and everything. And
Mhm.
eventually, I just got kind of tired and burnt out. But there was just one practice where I was like, man, this is really chill. And it was a mobile practice in actually Marietta,
Mhm.
military veterinary services. And it was just like a cool 5 or 6 appointments a day. It was just super chill. And I was like, let me see if I can do this because Marietta is super far to drive from Jonesboro.
Yeah, yeah. But and going back to what you were saying, uh, how much time did you spend in shelter medicine? I'm just curious.
So probably maybe about 6 months because at the time I was like, woo, this is my
Yeah.
best for me. I
Yeah.
didn't have a lot of oversight on what went in and out, and it was just all types of different cases that were super wow, where I was like, yeah, this probably ain't that for me.
Okay.
Doing
And what's the name of your practice now?
the Southside Mobile Veterinary Services.
And you serve what areas?
So I stay within a 15-mile radius of Jonesboro, but usually South Fulton, Clayton, Fayette, and um, a little bit of Cabot, a little bit of DeKalb,
Henry.
definitely.
Okay. All right. And what type of, and when did you get started doing this?
So I wanted to just ease on into it while I was doing independent contracting in like 2019, like June-ish. So
Hmm.
I like started the entity, started getting all my supplies together. Then, of course, that time is when COVID was creeping on in. So all the independent contracting kind of shrunk down because nobody was going traveling anywhere. And then we weren't doing shot clinics anymore. So all I was left with just the spay neuter. So then I was like, well, it's time to go full time and just go through the weeds and see how it goes.
Well, I guess, it probably the pandemic probably helped with that,
Oh
you
yeah.
know. And for artists who don't know what independent contracting and shock services are, explain what that is.
So basically, another word for it in the industry is relief vet, where we just go in well, I guess when a doctor wants to go on vacation or needs an extra staff member, then a relief vet will come in. Sometimes they charge per hour, sometimes for the day, but they come in and just cover for that doctor,
Right.
cases,
Mm-hmm.
doing the phone calls, whatever is needed. And
Right.
then that they move on to the next practice. Some of them have a regular practice, some of them just, travel around with it. I just decided to stay in Georgia, have a short little circle that I go to.
Mm-hmm.
And through the shot clinics, it's more like a wellness clinic where we just do the basic vaccinations, do a quick exam, heartworm testing, and of course, given that prevention, making sure everything's good. If there's anything sick or ill or needs a further follow-up, then if we're in the area, we can definitely take over, but we usually recommend them to a local brick and mortar clinic for that follow-up.
Gotcha. So how's that going for you?
You know what? So far, so good. It's one of those where I'm still in the early stages because I just kind of like dove off the cliff during.
Mm-hmm.
So now that everything's kind of plateaued out and I can finally breathe, I'm starting to actually get some systems in, getting ready to hire an assistant, saving up for that whole huge mobile unit so I can do everything in people's driveways. So far, so good. I am super loving it. I was never an office person or a high volume, super stressed out person. I just love being chill and being on my own schedule.
Okay, so how are you finding your patients, when you go to the home? Are they relaxed or are they on guard? Or I mean, how's that working out for you?
Okay, so like most of the time, most animals are chill. I do fear-free low restraint techniques a lot. Um, and because it's just me by myself, and then the owner is kind of helping as well. But worst case scenario, if they aren't too cooperative, I do better living through chemistry. So we do have some injectables and some oral drugs that I can give before the appointment if we feel like, hey, we need to reschedule and come back. But for the most part, most of them are good. Now, if they're really, really bad, the owners already know that. They let me know in advance, and we always get a game plan together before I show up.
Yeah,
And
so
70% of the time it works. Those 30%, they're through the roof, and no matter what happens, they were going to be a little bit difficult to handle.
yeah. And what kind of fear-free techniques do you use?
So I know for the ones that are super anxious, super fractious, I do a couple of medications beforehand that they give the night before, and then a couple of hours or a couple of minutes before the appointment. So maybe they're not as stressed when I show up.
Mm.
Some of
Okay.
the I really just go on a slower approach and take my time with them. If I
Hmm.
feel like they're super, super scared, I just kind of hang back, let them come to me, or
Hmm.
just handle what they want to handle. Like if they don't want to do ear temperature or butt temperature, that's fine. I
Hmm.
don't do that. We don't have to chase you down, hold you down. If a certain thing around your feet is like blood draws, if I have to get a heartworm test from the front legs and they're like, oh, don't touch my front legs, I don't want to see anything. Usually I can get the owner a treat, some food, and I can get it from the back leg.
Right.
So there are some things where I just kind of gauge where the animal is kind of feeling, what they're more comfortable with, what the owner's comfortable with, and kind of maneuver that way.
Hmm.
That versatility of, hey, if you want to be on the couch or if you want to be over here in a corner, if you want to be on the table, on the floor, off the table, I'm flexible.
Okay, I got you. And I can identify with that because before I got my brick and mortar, I did two things. I was a relief vet as well, but I
Mhm.
also did house calls. And that's kind of how I got my start. So I can definitely identify with some of the things that you've gone through. Uh, the difference was that when I started my house call practice, it included large animal.
Uh,
So if you've ever rode on those carriage horses downtown, I probably did all of those. If they got a tattoo on their lip, I probably put it there. Um, my range was probably a little bit further. I would go as far as Dallas, Georgia, all the way up to Decatur. And that was just a matter of what I was dealing with because I remember was one lady, one of my best clients, she had 12 dogs. Okay. And these dogs, the outside dogs had dog houses that had air conditioning and heating. Okay.
okay.
This couple really took care of their dogs. I mean, if you even looked at them wrong, I mean, the husband would pull a pistol out on him. He said, "Don't mess with my dogs." Okay. That's how they were.
Yeah.
And in the long run, she was the one who encouraged me to open up my own practice, brick and mortar. And I guess I'm always thankful to her. She's passed now, God rest her soul, but she actually encouraged me to do all of this. And I do remember my experiences going to the home and finding dogs that are hiding under the bed. Uh, you got to get the broom to kind of ease them out of there, and you
Frame.
know, throw blankets on top of them and give them a minute, this kind of thing, without really trying, yeah, stress is the number one thing that you got to overcome in those kind of situations. Because a lot of them, first of all, they're protecting their home. They're scared of strangers. But the more times you go see them, it usually gets a little less and less, traumatic. So I can understand what you're going through. And again, yeah, you can't have so many appointments in a day and you don't really get swamped. So I can understand. Uh,
Yeah.
So I guess when I started open up my brick and mortar, I had probably 300 clients at that point. And
Wow.
that's when I decided 'cause I wanted to start hospitalizing so I could follow these cases a little bit more closely, and that kind of led me to that. So it was just a matter of you make a little money, you buy another piece of equipment. You make a
Right.
little, and the beauty of you don't necessarily need a loan, but the process is a little slower without it, and without a business plan to go with it. So and you can share your experiences with that, with the audience, with that, and how you had to overcome that. Can you do that?
As far as communications or the patient flow or the business itself.
The business itself.
So I used my funds from independent contracting, of course, to fund the business itself. I know they had like a whole bunch of new practice programs. Looking back on it, I had way more inventory than what I needed. But I have pretty much everything in my van for the basic care. I have all the vaccines. I have the majority, if not all, of the injectables. I have all my medications on board. I even got to a point where I have a microscope and all the staining equipment back there. I definitely have all the restraint things like the little cat restraint bags where they're kind
Mhm.
of all together and the heads out, the muzzles, and
Right.
all that's just in the van. Any medications, supplements, and the like that I don't have, I usually can prescribe that on the online store, have them shipped to them. If
Mhm.
critical care, I do have a list of vets in the area and then a number of ones who did specialized care like exotics or ear cropping or something like that where I can refer them to and
Yeah,
give them.
that's my thing. We
And
do a lot of ear crops. I mean, a lot of ear crops.
my private practices when I was working, they kind of piecemealed that ear cropping together and it was a horrible nightmare. So I'm like, let me send you to somebody who knows how to do that. Let me see. So yeah, I did work critical care while I was relief vet for a couple of shifts. That was like for a couple of months. I'm not a critical care emergency person. Again, I'm just like, here are the basics. Another thing that I probably am not doing enough of, but I'm going to start doing a push later is traditional Chinese veterinary medicine. I
Mhm.
did coursework, finished my coursework in acupuncture at Chi University, along
Okay.
with therapy, herbal medicine,
Okay.
and techniques. So The only thing I'm missing is my case study. So that's one where I'm going to find somebody who just really wants to do acupuncture, and I have to just do about 3 months worth of casework and operating there. So as soon as I get that done, boom, certified, and then I'm good to go. So
All
I
right.
acupuncture, electroacupuncture, my needles with it too. So I can take that with me.
Okay. How's that working out for you?
You
What kind of results are you getting?
I'm using more of the food therapy and the herbal medicine than I'm actually doing the massage and the acupuncture. Because that's easily just to prescribe and the owners just do that at home.
Hmm.
But acupuncture and massage, you kind of need those repeat clients to come in like every 2 weeks or every month or something like that when they first starting out. And
Right.
it's hard to commit to that portion.
Mm-hmm. I got you. Well, yeah, I mean, everything has its drawbacks, and you got to really stay on top of things to kind of, first of all, you got to make them understand that, hey, this is real medicine. Okay,
Right.
this is something that, I learned, and I think it's worth a try in certain cases where traditional medicine is not working out. So I think that that's always worth something for clients that are, attuned to it. And our clients are more informed now than ever because Dr. Google, who drives me crazy, by the way.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to explain to them that Dr. Google doesn't have a medical degree. They don't care. So, well, I did my, and then they'll come in and say, I did my research. I said, oh my God, not you. Please. Don't do this to me. And
It's
you got to explain to them and say, listen, Dr. Google doesn't even know your dog's name. Okay. Don't know what it looked like, don't know what kind of dog it is, how old it is, what the relationship is between you and your pet, where he lives. So a lot of that stuff's just not going to apply. And it's kind of hard to get them to understand that. So basically, it's kind of hard to get them off of that. But the best thing to do is what we do is we refer them to our website, which has the AVMA link on it and say, hey, you want to Google something? Google this. Okay. Let's get something from the experts, right? And then you'll have less problems. Um, and like I say, I remember I did house calls probably for 2 years. No, I take that back. 2 years before I got my brick and mortar. And then another 10, 15 years after that, I retired from that simply because I couldn't be away from the office that long, which is the one part of it. And the other part was large animal vets don't last as long as small animal vets, right? Um, I've been kicked, I've been stomped, I mean, I got busted knuckles, and I had to come home in one piece. So it's just one thing I just had to give up. I enjoyed it while it lasted, but I said, you know what? A lot of times you're gonna run across owners that have large animals, don't know what to do with them, and those are the ones that are gonna get you hurt.
yeah.
So yeah. So what do you think your long range goals are? Oh, and by the way, when I started out, I actually got me a Bronco, okay, which is a half pack, a Bronco too. And
Mhm.
then I went to Home Depot and got me one of those large toolboxes. All
Yep.
right. Put it back there and put dividers in there and arrange all my drugs the way I wanted so I wouldn't have to keep taking in and out the van. And then, of course, a nice
Okay.
cooler comes in handy. So that was the way I got started. It worked out well for a long time. But again, it got to the point where I needed to, hospitalize pets and
Yeah.
I wanted to see them from beginning to end. So what do you think your long range goals are? I understand you said you want to get you a complete unit.
Yes, I am definitely going to get that big old unit so I can do my dental x-ray surgery all at the spot. Because another thing, another super challenge that I had is a lot of times where they just can't get them in the car at all,
Mm-hmm.
or they just don't have the mobile resources to get out and get where they need to go. Um, so I want to be able to provide that service actually at their house in the driveway, full spectrum. And
Mm-hmm.
then if they actually need to go somewhere, then I can, especially as for the hospital wise, I can just put them in the van and transport them over and have that
Mm-hmm.
on the way there. Um,
Okay.
I know eventually I'm probably going to get, you know what, not eventually. I am definitely going to do multiple bands when I get the chance. And
Okay.
where it's kind of more like an overlapping of skills. I'm getting to a point where I'm like, I don't like doing this. And yeah, I know you need to go somewhere, but going
Hmm.
somewhere is about 45 minutes to an hour drive.
Right.
So hopefully I'm going to get to a point where we have some staff on board who does specialty, or even at night when they do ER, here is your mobile ER, where
Okay.
if we can't do something here again, we can get you in the car, stabilize you on the way on up there.
Hmm.
Multiple vans so I can A, have freedom of schedule, and then two, cover some areas of practice where it's just really needed in the area, but again, they just can't do the drive. And
Hmm.
then, with everybody having their own separate van, like here's DVM who really likes breeding. So we have I do get those calls like, hey, can you do a progesterone testing and all this other stuff? And I'm like, there is so much involved with the whole breeding situation and along with other
Hmm.
stuff. So, hey, he likes doing breeding. So here's his van. He goes out, he does his thing. He's under the Southside Mobile umbrella, but he runs his car and how he wants to do things, how he wants to do things. So,
Right. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize how interesting, how tough that can be. And of course, you want to make sure you get it right because a lot of these dogs are expensive, and one of the more important ones we see now are Frenchies. There's a Frenchie explosion, ladies and gentlemen, across this country.
the most
Okay.
popular breed now, and they're all looking like the super furry curly ones.
Oh man, have you seen that?
I have. I was like,
Really?
addicts behind that. I feel like that's a nightmare to
It
take care.
is. I mean, sometimes they're turning breeds into what they're not supposed to be. And as much as these little critters are cute, they come with really, really interesting problems.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so a lot of people need to understand what they're getting into because say, well, I got a toy poodle and I want to get me a schnauzer. I said, why? What, what, what are you doing? I said,
So,
I want to breed. I said, listen, careful what you wish for, okay? Breeding little dogs, I said, you either all in or you're all out, okay? I don't know if anybody remembers what's that movie with The Rock when they had Central Intelligence. You're
oh,
either in or you're out, okay? Make up your mind because this is not a part-time job when you're doing breeding. There's too much involved in what you have to do, to get into that. So I always tell people, look, do not get into something that you really are not prepared for. So that's all I can say to them. I said, leave it to the professionals. If you're gonna
right.
make this a lifetime, full-time job, fine. But if you're just trying to do it part-time, it usually doesn't turn out well.
No, not at all.
Have you
Very
ever had,
too much involved.
are you doing any C-sections out on the road or any of
Oh,
that?
oh no. I'm just like, at first when I started, I was gonna try to do a little bit of everything. And
Hmm.
I'm gonna do it all, but after time, with experience and with the trials and tribulations, I'm narrowing it down to this is what I do, this is what I don't do, and
Hmm.
these are the products that I carry, these are the products that I don't carry. So it's starting to really fit right about now, which is, I guess, when they look at the whole business timeline, this seems about right where it's supposed to kind of
Yeah.
actually hone in on things.
It's kind of like owning a restaurant. You can't put everything on the menu.
Right. Just
Specialize in a few things and just do it good.
that's it.
Hmm.
That's why when we get that multi-doctor out there, I was like, well, I don't do it, but I know somebody who I can get out get out to your
Yeah, I
your
know a guy. Oh, so it sounds like you're having a lot of fun with this. Do you see yourself doing this for long term and expanding your practice? I know you just said something about that, but where do you see yourself in 5, 10 years?
So 5 or 10 years from now, actually, I want to get to a point where I am starting to mentor, at least get some students involved, especially in their maybe Second and third year is when probably they really need to super home. By fourth year, you should know where you're going. I know I didn't, but now they're doing a lot better about career planning. But
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I super struggled with is, knowing what you want to do, like seeing what your end game is, knowing what it is, and then putting that pathway in from the end all the way to where you are now. So,
Mm-hmm.
student was asking me at the last symposium, they were like, well, I don't want to work 6 and 7 hours and all types of, 10, 12-hour shifts. Like, how do I talk to, how would I go out for a job? What do I say? What do I do? And I was kind of like, well, you know what? What lifestyle do you want? What is it that you're looking for when you graduate? Do you want to do eyes? How often do you want to do eyes? What's the salary you want? What are all those goals that you need? And then start planning from there. What do you need to get, board certified in eyes? What grades do you need? What internships do you need? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
what about these other certifications? Do they have anything to do with your end goal? Why are you going for those end certifications? And then it's more like that foundation and that clinical experience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you can definitely get that in school, but when you get out into the real world, not everybody has the resources, not everybody has the experts on board. You got to do what you can out here in the trenches. So
Right.
having that experience and that background, so when they actually do graduate, get into the working field, that they're a lot more prepared than what I was when I just kind of threw myself out there and was just like getting taken over and just doggy paddling everywhere.
I know exactly what you mean because I went through the same thing, and that it taught me a lot about business. It taught me a lot about how to deal with clients. Because for instance, I had one client in a wheelchair. There's
Yeah.
no way she getting that dog, to the hospital. So she appreciated us coming by for that. I had one lady had 30 cats. I mean, really, 30 cats. So these are the kind of things you run into, and uh, you got to come up with a formula that's
Mhm.
going to help take care of all the patients without it making them go to the bank and get a 100-year loan. Um, and of course, there's some counseling involved in that too, because if you don't spay and neuter these rascals, it's over. Okay, so you take them in one at a time. So I had that situation. I take them in two at a time. And finally she started running down, and she finally got down to like 7 cats, which was manageable, you know.
Yeah.
So, but it's, every time they get kittens, they don't want to give them away. They're gonna keep them all.
I don't take care of them like I take care of them. They're more comfortable here.
Uh-huh. So, yeah, so I think that the other thing too is that we have to be cognizant of is that when you do the kind of thing, you gotta account for mileage, gas, vehicle maintenance, um, and these kind of things, and the weather, right?
Ooh,
So it's tough out there, when you're doing what you're doing. And give the listeners first, while we're still talking, give all your basic information, your website, your phone number, and all that kind of thing, so they can get in touch with you if they need you.
okay. You can call or text 770-703-3324. That's that main line. I have two virtual assistants. Kim or Kay's will be available, and they actually do all most of my everything in the background, the stuff that I can't do
Okay.
or that I don't want to do. Website is www.southsidemobilevet.com. And those are the two main areas there. We also are on social media. I'm doing better about social media. I was just kind of like set it and forget it, but now I have a social media person. So
Mhm.
they're going to do a lot of my posting and everything as well. I'm going to be
Mhm.
out there posting more, but we're on X, formerly Twitter. I don't use that.
Okay.
We are more active on Facebook. We're getting more active on Instagram.
Hmm.
And those are our three main ones. We're starting the LinkedIn channel. It'll be a LinkedIn, it'll be a while.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that going. And
Okay.
just remind it's YouTube once I get that assistant where I can actually get some videos going.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we did a lot of ours through Thrive, and there's a little thing called Genius Vets.
Mm-hmm.
And they come on every month and they give you tools to put on your Facebook and Instagram pages, like Dental Health Month. You know, they'll have things that you can put on there for clients to look at and that you can post. They'll usually set it about on the 20th of every month, and that's something that you can post for the next month. So I found that to be very helpful as well. The problem what I was having was that I was getting too many clients. And yeah, I mean, it was like I was running and gunning from like dawn to well after dusk, you know.
Right.
So, and it was like I would have clients going from, and you know, you also got to figure, okay, if I'm doing 3 or 4 or 5 clients, you're like for them to be in the same area, right?
Yes. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. Look. So
right. So you don't want to be running from Decatur down to Fayetteville. So if anything, you want to do a circle, you're gonna say, okay, I want to see 2 or 3 in Fayetteville, and then I might roll up in South Fulton, and then do DeKalb, and then I do a little circle, come on back. But if you bouncing back and forth, it never works out. I mean, it just runs you crazy, right? And you are extremely lucky because you are in the area of cell phones. All right. So when I
yes.
was doing it, there were no cell phones, only beepers. So I had to learn where every phone booth in town was and have a roll of quarters all the time.
Oh no.
And there was no social media either. So you definitely had an event. My stuff was all word of mouth and Yellow Pages.
Mhm.
And Yellow Pages was not online yet, which was another thing. But there's something to be said that you can set your own hours and, you know, you don't always have to, you know, there are certain cases that you can't do and you just got to let them know. Um, I know that there were a lot of times that I go to the projects, see the cases and stuff like that.
Right.
And that's kind of risky, but you know, I had a dog named Lightfoot with me, Australian Shepherd. He was my security. Okay. So yeah, that turned out pretty well. So yeah, I think that there is a need in South on the South Side for your services. We're
Mhm.
glad you're here. Because like I say, I still get called now. Can't you come to the house? Ma'am, I don't do that anymore.
That's
So
that's
now I know who I'm gonna tell them to call you. I said, call this number here. She'll be glad to come see you.
And here's me in my SUV. It's like, oh, I thought you'd have a van. I was like, no, ma'am, it's just me and the
Mm,
CRV.
yeah. Yeah, well, like I say, you be careful while you're doing this, and this again, um, I think that you provide a great service. Hope your certification comes through. I'd like to hear how you're doing in the near future. And again, if there are any other things that you want to share with us about your business and how you do it and what you do, uh, let us know. And go ahead, you know, if there's anything else you think you want to share about your business. Hmm.
Oh, goodness. That's a very good question. I know we are actually starting to do a little bit more arthritis and chronic management care. So look out for some care packages that we're going to roll out in the summertime, actually. So we're
Okay.
those together. And then hopefully we will be able to do a lot better about managing some of that chronic illness and diseases at home and get you
Mm-hmm.
a more predictable schedule.
Well, that's one thing we're looking at now.
Hmm.
We're just starting to use it is Labrella. I'm sure you heard of it.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. That in Silencia, we're going to start, promoting more and getting that out to the people a little
Mhm.
bit.
And just so people know what that is, it's an injectable osteoarthritic medication, and it's for arthritis. You give it once a month by injection, and this is very helpful. And a lot of people have to understand that medications all have side effects, right? So right now, most of us are still using oral medication like carprofen or Galliprant, something like that. You have to be careful with some of these medications because, for instance, if you got an older patient, geriatric patient, you really don't want to have that patient on carprofen too long because it does have kidney issues with it.
Mhm.
So now we got to go to Galliprant. The problem with Galliprant is it's expensive, right? It's
Woo!
super expensive. It works great, but it's expensive. So what do? Well, you know, then you go to something like Librela. It's about half the cost. and they don't have to do anything. You just let you come by and get that injection, once a month. And I think that comes in handy because you have to realize client compliance is all important. Can they get that pill in them? Okay. They can't get the pill in them. This is all for naught. So client compliance is key. And a lot of people don't realize that when you're in our profession, 80% of our diagnosis is from history. Okay. Getting accurate history from the client, getting them to tell us the truth. Okay. And someone will leave certain things out because they don't want you to know, right?
They
No, I
want
ain't giving
to
I didn't give him it. He's
what I
coming. He's been throwing up for days. No, I ain't giving nothing. I had a lady, she had a 10-pound dog, and she gave him some food. He threw up some. I talked to her, said, don't give him anything else. She come back 2 weeks later, said, did you give him anything? Nope. 5 seconds later, this threw up. And this is 10-pound Yorkie, right? This dog threw up a whole sausage and biscuit. Not chewed up, but the entire thing, he swallowed it whole. And I just looked there and walked away. Okay, ladies and gentlemen in the audience and who are listening, please tell your veterinarian the truth. They're not gonna call the police.
I mean,
They're
we
not
know
gonna. We're
we
not
just
gonna judge you. We're not judgmental. We're just trying to help you. Okay, save money and save your pets. Anguish, and when you think about it, 4th of July, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. Okay, Martin Luther King Jr. birthday, Easter. I mean, y'all good for business because you won't listen. Okay. You got to be good to your pets. I'll give you a piece of advice. Number one, when you're cooking, don't have your pet in the kitchen with you. When you're eating, put them in another room, because they are the keep sweat beggars of the world. You're going to give them something.
And when we ask what they are eating, that includes stuff you give them outside of their dog food. I know that so and so isn't getting only a cup and he's super big. He's getting more than a cup. I
Well,
just don't
just a little bit. What's a little bit,
know.
really?
You gotta tell me where the rest of the food is coming from.
So, uh, but again, there are always challenges in veterinary medicine. Having a house call practice will overcome a lot of those challenges. And we commend you for what you do and hope that you do well. And, before we go, once again, let everybody know who you are, where you are, and how to get in touch with you.
I am Dr. Mary Aboko-Cole with Southside Mobile Veterinary Services, where I'm within a 15-mile radius of Jonesboro. So that includes East Point, College Park, Fayetteville, Stockbridge, McDonough, River,
Hateville,
all that. So
South
um,
Fulton.
you can reach us at 770-703-3324, or you can email at staff@southsidemoblevet.com. And then, of course, visit our website, www.southsidemoblevet.com, where we have links to all of our social media as well.
All right. And I'm Dr. Ronald Tolbert. I'm with Red Oak Animal Hospital. I'm in South Fulton. We serve most of South Fulton area. And we are glad to have Dr. ABC with us today. And we wish her luck in her future endeavors and hope that she is very successful in everything that she does. And hopefully you'll get those students to come down there and be a great mentor to them. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you, everybody. And we are now done. Have a great day.